Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Wumi Ajayi. For those who may not know me, I believe Happy New Year is still in order. The year is still fairly new. So Happy New Year. I hope you've had a good start to the new year. So in this video, I'm going to take a break from the Big C series to bring you something that I believe is very, very relevant to the start of a new year. And I'll be talking about intentionality. So, a quick story. In the first week of January, the fitness class that I normally attend, it was fuller than usual. And even the instructor said, "Wow, you can tell it's January. Let's see what happens by February." Because this was in total contrast to the last class that I attended in December, which was very, very scanty. And I just heard in the news yesterday that 64% of people give up their New Year resolution before the end of January. And even though I'm not talking about New Year resolution today, the example of my fitness class is the example of when people have good intentions. And I believe that everyone that was in that class, they had good intentions concerning their health. They want to stay healthy, they want to stay strong. But good intentions are not always good enough when it comes to the good that we intend for different areas of our lives. I will take that again. Good intentions, they are not always enough when it comes to the good that we intend for different areas of our lives, whether it's in our relationship, concerning our health, our marriage, our career, and all that. And that is why, despite their good intentions, some people will drop off in from the fitness class as the year progresses. So basically, good intentions require intentionality. And when it comes to marriage, I know we hear the word a lot. Intentionality is like a buzzword, but it's not just a buzzword, it is actually the main word. Most of us have good intentions for our marriages, our spouses, our homes. We want to have a good marriage, we want to have a good home. But the reason those good intentions do not come to reality, does not translate to our reality, is because we're not intentional in translating our intentions to actions. So intentionality is the act of being deliberate. It's being purposive. It is the state of being intentional. It is being deliberate in what we want to do. It is planning. It is calculation. It is forethought. It is thinking about what I want. How do I want to achieve it? How do I plan to achieve what I want? Intentionality is when we direct our thoughts, our desires, our hopes, our actions towards someone, towards something, towards a situation. So, intentionality in marriage is when we direct our thoughts, our actions, our hopes, everything we do towards achieving the kind of marriage that we want. So, for us to be intentional, there has to be, events, there has to be action, there has to be something that we're doing that is directed towards, the person, the thing, or the situation that we want to change. For example, if you intend to move home, say you want to buy a house, you demonstrate intentionality by saving, by starting to look for houses online, speaking to a broker, speaking to lenders, and all that. If you want to have less conflict in your marriage, your actions must be judged towards how to maintain peace, what you need to change, what needs to change in both of you, what needs to change in your approach and your attitude to conflict. Your action will be directed to learning how to resolve conflict and so on. The opposite of being intentional is leaving things to chance and hoping for the best. Or we expect things to just happen, by accident. Or we just have a good marriage by accident. Or my children will just grow up and be responsible adults by accident. It doesn't happen that way. And when we look at God, God is an intentional God. We just need to look at creation, the earth alone, the distance between the earth and the sun, the galaxies, the functioning of the human body, the buffer system. I can go on and on and on. And as humans, the only creatures that are made in God's image and likeness, we have to be intentional. We have to be intentional in how we live our lives. It's the only way to make our lives count. And it's the only way to enjoy the life God has given to us. We have only one life. And for the married, a big part of your one life is your marriage. And God expects us to be intentional in how we do marriage. So, why do we need intentionality in our marriages? We can't fulfill our part of the covenant without being intentional. I spoke about the marriage covenant in my last video. Please check it out if you have not seen it. It is in being deliberate in directing our thoughts and our actions towards our marriages that we can fulfill our vows. Without being intentional, we can't put in the effort that building our marriage requires. Marriage is work, and work requires effort, it requires movement. As the saying goes, if you fail to plan, we plan to fail. No one desiring to become a doctor gets into medical school and then refuses to go for lectures or clinical postings. And no one aspiring to progress in their career just sits and do the same thing day in, day out, and they're expecting progress. No, we work, we labor, we put in the time, we put in the work, we put in the effort. So why then do we think marriage, is a walk in the park? No, marriage requires effort. And when we put in the effort and the work that it requires, we will enjoy the benefit. So, how are you being deliberate? How are you being intentional when it comes to fulfilling your marriage vows? How are you being intentional when it comes to building the kind of marriage and home that you want? The second reason why we need to be intentional is that without intentionality, we will repeat the mistakes of others before us. And they're possibly mistakes that we're vowed not to make. As every day gives us the opportunity to start afresh, every new marriage, every new home is an opportunity for us to do better than our parents, and to do better than the people that have gone ahead of us. And like they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So let me ask you, what are you being intentional about in your marriage to make sure that you don't repeat the same mistakes of the people ahead of you? If you struggle to show affection, for example, maybe because growing up, your parents didn't show affection to each other. I mean, my husband and I, we fell into that category. So it was a bit, strange showing affection to each other. It was a bit very, it was very, very awkward. But we had to be intentional. We had to be deliberate in showing affection to ourselves, because we just thought that, look, if we repeat the same mistake that our parents make, our children will grow up not knowing that it's actually normal for husband and wife to show each other affection. So I want to challenge you to, look at your marriage, look at the marriage of your parents, look at the marriages of the people ahead of you, and see if there's any mistake, anything that you think, oh, I don't like this, or I'm not going to repeat this thing in my marriage, that you think is already happening. Those are the things that we need to be deliberate about in making sure that we do things different so that we can get a different and a better result. Number three, without intentionality, love will become dormant. Love will be without expression. Married life will become a drudgery. Married life will lack passion. Routines and demands of life will take over our lives. Romance will be out of the window, and ultimately, the joy of marriage will elude us. So we must be deliberate and intentional in watering and nurturing our love. So when last did you take yourselves out? Indoor day nights when the kids are in bed, outdoor day nights, you find somebody to look after the kids if you have children, weekend away. When was the last time you both attended a marriage enriching program? Are you learning? Are you unlearning? When your church or community, when they organize marriage enrichment programs, do you attend? Or do we always have other priorities? Are we the ones, the people that feel that, oh, there's nothing new to learn, there's nothing new they're going to say? We must be very intentional to do the things that will help our marriages to grow and our love to blossom. And while I'm on the topic of being intentional in looking after our love and nurturing our relationship, if you live in the north of England, or even if you live further away and you don't mind traveling, please join us for our dinner dance event, our Night of Hearts and Roses. It's a dinner dance event that we organize for married couples. It's happening on Friday, the 13th of February. You can message me for more details. We also try to provide childcare. So if childcare is going to be an issue, please message me and we can help you out. Moving on, I want to talk about purpose and intentionality. To be intentional is to be purposive, like I started off with. And to be purposive is to be purposeful, to be decided, to be determined, to be resolved. And marriage is not an achievement. Marriage is not just the next thing you do when you graduate and you start working. Marriage is not what you get into because your biological clock is ticking, because marrying for the wrong reasons leads to marrying without purpose. We must be purposeful. We must be decided. We must be determined in the kind of marriage that we want, because this will reflect on how we do marriage and how we relate to our spouse. Without a sense of purpose, we can't be intentional. Without a sense of purpose, we can desire a good marriage. We can desire well behaved children and all that, but we will not be able to pay the price. We will not be able to stick to the discipline that is required to achieve those things. Purpose is important because without a sense of purpose, we will struggle to get out of our comfort zone, to do the uncomfortable but needful. Because nothing good, let's face it, nothing good comes easy. If you want a good marriage, we must be prepared to step out of our comfort zone to do the things that we need to do. Without a sense of purpose, we will do everything else, but that one thing that we should actually be doing. And we will justify ourselves. Oh, I'm so busy. Oh, bills needs to be paid. I need to work and all that. Those things are justified. But when we get our priorities wrong, we will be doing all those things to the detriment of our family, to the detriment of our marriage. Yes, we need to work to pay the bills, but not to the detriment of the time that we should spend with our children, to train them, to teach them, to mentor them. Yes, we have to work to sustain the family, but not to the detriment of the time that we need to tend to the garden of our marriage. If we don't have a sense of purpose for our marriages, we will allow ourselves to be driven to and fro by people and by many things that don't serve our relationship. And to have a defined purpose for our marriages does not necessarily require us hearing a loud voice from heaven or to see Angel Gabriel in our dreams. We can start by looking at the scriptures to see what God has in mind. What are God's intentions for marriages, for families, for children? And we can start by asking ourselves some simple questions. For example, one of the intention of God for marriages is companionship. So we can start by asking, is my marriage fulfilling that purpose in both my life and in my spouse's life? Are we lonely? Are we married and lonely? Are we good companies? Are we keeping each other company? Are we fulfilling the purpose of companionship in each other's lives? Before we got married, we were both, my husband and I, we were both clear on the kind of marriage that we wanted. And we have been intentional in how we operate and relate and in keeping each other in check, because sometimes, you just find out that it looks like someone is deviating. We have to, bring each other back and remind ourselves to make sure that we keep ourselves on track. And it's never too late. No matter how long you've been married, even if you're married, in fact, if you're married, it's actually good for you because it means that you can start on a good footing. If you have been married, it doesn't matter how long for. You can still sit each other down and have a discussion. What kind of marriage do we want? Are we happy with how things are going? What are the things, what are the areas that we need to be intentional about? What are the things that we need to be doing to make sure that we actually achieve the kind of marriage and the kind of home that we want? I also appreciate that some couples might have started on a good footing and with good intentions, but life happened. Maybe life happened and you lost your footing. The good news is you can get back up again. You can get back on track. It is possible. I'm going to stop here because I don't want this video to be long, but I will be sending the second part at the same time because I want the message to go out together. In the second part, I'll be talking about areas of intentionality that we can, as a couple, concentrate on this year and beyond that will help to move our marriage forward. So in this video, I've talked about intentionality and why we need to be intentional in our marriages. I've also talked about the importance of purpose, having a sense of purpose, and how that will help us to be intentional in how we live our lives and how we do our marriages. Thank you so much. Remember, like I always say, marriage is to be enjoyed, not to be endured. Hope you can join me in the second part. God bless you. Bye.